what life wants for me is talking about this non-physical energy that is really you. In other words, who you were prior to coming into this physical body is still who that non-physical energy is. In other words, so you came with intention. So then as you stand in your physical form, you could accurately ask the question, what does that part of me want from me? And we would say what that non-physical part of you wants from you is new experience, new life, new contrast, new exploration, new conclusions that what? New conclusions that that part of you can sink its teeth in, can vibrationally become. So can you see how no matter which way you ask or answer that question, it's right either way? Because this non-physical part of you is the life that is wanting from you. And this you is the projector of the life that you want. There are a lot of people who are saying it is inappropriate to want. And sometimes we go there as we visit because we know, we hear it from many, that there are some philosophies that seem to take issue with the idea of you egotistically identifying anything as desire. And sometimes as we listen, and we always love to hear the conversations no matter what they're about because people are earnestly seeking. And after they talk about how they think that desire is inappropriate and that they have been taught that if they can be desireless, that it will be better. And we say, and what is it that you will gain from this philosophy of letting loose of desire? And they say, we will be happier. And we say, and is not happiness a desire? And so that's the way it all wraps together. In other words, you are pure positive energy wanting to expand and stay in alignment, and expand and stay in alignment. Because expansion without alignment cannot be. But the way everything is established, there can only be expansion with alignment for this reason. In your exploration, which causes the expansion, we're talking about your human form, leading edge experience, which causes the expansion. Even if you expand and don't keep up with it, the larger part of you has kept up with it and will be the eternal basis from which you come forth again. So the only risk that anyone ever runs is to come forth and life cause them to expand further than they can allow themselves to be in any moment. And then they have the discord of not keeping up with who they are. But then in the death experience, they keep up again. So what life wants from you is joyful expansion. And what you want from life is joyful expansion. That's the only way that we would ever negatively apply the word ego. In other words, this physical vantage point with this physical personality and this physical willingness to explore contrast is what so many refer to as ego. And it is essential to the expansion of eternalness. It's what puts the eternity in eternalness. So anyone who is not happy about the egotistical, selfishly focused human being who is out here on the leading edge, selfishly choosing for self and giving birth to the expanding universe, they're not understanding the big picture. And we think that most who are speaking about that as they reference Buddhism or whatever it is that is teaching are not understanding what was being said. It's just another example of those people from long ago being tuned in, tapped in, turned on, explaining through the genre of their time. And now people all this time later are trying to take those teachings that were given for that leading edge at that time and try to make that which was leading edge at that time work for this, which is a different leading edge time, you see. They're all saying the same thing, but over time, it's misinterpreted through those who have their own reasons, and that's all right. But we promise you that at the heart of this religion that is so meaningful to you that you were mentioning is an absolute understanding of the true nature of the being and an eternal quest to come into alignment with it. And sometimes that's interpreted by others as saying, oh, if this non-physical part, which I'm eternally seeking alignment with, matters so much, then the physical human part is less important. And it isn't. Because Source expands through this human part. Who you are now is not the larger part of you.
Right.
It's just an important leading edge part of you that is going to cause who you really are to expand. And when who you are, which is not the largest part of you, but is a very important part of you, causes who you really are to expand, and who you are doesn't go along with the expansion, then who you really are offers the eternal vibration of well-being, and who you're letting yourself be offers a vibration that's less than that, and then your energy is split, and then they blame it on the egotistical you. It isn't because the egotistical you found something new to think about and expanded. It's because the egotistical you found something new and caused expansion, which the egotistical you then didn't take the expansion. The egotistical you got stuck beating the drum of asking the question rather than rolling with the answer, you see. That's the best description of what is screwy with man's conception or perception of ego. In other words, feel with us that, do you accept that you are an eternal being? Of course you do.
Yes.
And can't you feel it? Isn't it logical that this source energy part of you, that the dominant part of you remains eternally non-physically focused? It's like you plug your toaster into the electricity, but you don't ask the electricity to be the toaster. You accept that there is the electricity and there is the toaster, and they have two different functions that work very well together. But the source energy part of you is the energy, the vibration, the current, the source of that which is everything that you see that is physical. So then part of that source energy is expressing itself here in the human personality that is you, in this egotistically, selfishly focused. And by that we only mean you see through the eyes of self. You see through the eyes of self, which means as you explore and know what you don't want, you know what you do want. The self within you, all the synthesizing of the self within you knows what you prefer. And when you come to that conclusion, whether you speak it or not, and you do it all day, every day, the larger part of you who is so certain that you should know, after all, you are pure positive energy extended out here on the leading edge of thought, exploring contrast, and from your point of view, coming to a conclusion of what you think would be better for you. The source energy part of you does not question that. But you have to understand, it's not just source answering what you're asking for. Source is answering what everyone is asking for. Everyone. Imagine how wonderful it is when billions of humans and all kinds of other physical creators, also your beasts and even microbes, are having experiences and are asking. Even the one-celled organism is having evolution through vibrational expansion. In other words, even the one-celled organism is exposed to contrast and is emanating preferences of what would be better. So if Source, who is not just answering you, leading edge creator, but is answering all leading edge creators, can you feel how the whole of creation is moving up to better and better places? Source isn't saying you're the good ones and you're the bad ones, and so we'll answer your request but not yours. Everyone who asks, no matter what, everyone who asks is answered. And so this source energy expansion is becoming more and more and more. But humans, the critical experience that humans feel is that often as individuals you have expanded and then you don't take your own expansion. You stay over there beating the drum of something that is, and so you don't let yourself be who you are. The best words that we can offer is that life has caused you to become more. Are you letting yourself be it? And the answer is, if you're feeling joyful in this moment, yes. If you're feeling hatred in this moment, no. You became something that you're not letting yourself be. And the funniest thing of all, funny, not funny the way you think funny, but it's really an interesting, odd thing, is that the very thing that caused your expansion is almost without exception the very thing that you're using as your excuse not to take your expansion. So when you get it, how this all fits together, and you begin to, little by little, show yourself, because you're right, words don't teach, show yourself the vibrational alignment with you so that you train yourself into the best that you have become, then, to be physically focused in this life, in this leading edge life, having trained yourself into vibrational alignment with the eternalness that you are, now you get to see moment by moment this world, this leading edge world, you get to see it through the eyes of Source. Just doesn't get any better than that. And we think so many of those ancient teachers were talking from that perspective because they understood through meditation. They released resistance. They came into alignment. They did all kinds of things that brought them into alignment where they saw the world through the eyes of Source. But then as they teach others, they see how difficult it is for people to see the world through the eyes of Source when they're beating the drum of things gone wrong. And so they explain, don't beat the drum of things gone wrong. Let those things of a worldly nature, let them not be what you give your attention to. Turn your attention to things that are more important. And we want you to understand that there is nothing more spiritual than full manifestation, because everything that you see as full manifestation is an extension of this Source energy, you see. And you can feel your alignment or not so much alignment in every single moment. And no matter what philosophy you're studying or adhering to, no matter what, you can't get it wrong, because the whole of it is established so powerfully, and the basis of life, all life, is such incredible well-being that the worst thing that could ever happen, and it's not a bad thing, is that a human could somehow get separated from his own expansion. You see, you can't even be born and not reach and get separated. The only thing that could ever cause, you could not be born. Oh, hear this, new place. So your Source energy, and you come forth. You could not, from your pure positive energy, Source energy perspective, then come forth into the physical and be separated from who you are just by that function. Stay with us, you're really going to like this. The only way man could ever, we like this so much we can hardly stand it. The only way man could ever get separated from Source is to live expansion that he doesn't take. We're coming around again. So your Source, let's call you an angel. You're born. Nothing in that function could ever separate you from Source. It's what life causes you to expand to. It's your, in this life, personal expansion that is the only thing that you can get separated from. It's so big, can you hear it? In other words, if you came forth and you saw no contrast, and so everything was exactly as you thought you wanted it to be, a truly feathered nest, so nothing ever made you ask for more, then there could never be any separation between you and you. But because you deliberately came for the contrast, because you deliberately came from the expansion, it's only your own expansion that ever gives you negative emotion. Don't you love knowing that? Don't you love knowing that? And don't you therefore want to bless and appreciate the contrast that is the basis of the expansion? Don't you love being alive? Don't you love the feeling of becoming? And doesn't it feel like such a sure thing? Because when you croak, you'll release all attachment or attention to the parts that were keeping you from going into full alignment. And we will say to you that every religion, no matter what it is, has at its roots someone who for a period of time tapped into that knowing and attempted to explain it in some way. This is just the latest version. You cannot be in step 1, the asking mode, and in step 3, the receiving mode at the same time. So Esther has to ask and then find some way of separating herself from the vibration of asking before she can receive. So she is like most of you. Life causes her to ask, and when she is distracted from the vibration of not knowing the answer, then the answer comes. It's like looking for something that you think is lost. You can't find it until you forget that you think it's lost, and then it will turn up for you. It's that same sort of thing. So for Jerry and Esther, often Esther will say to Jerry, I would like to talk to Abraham about this, and this is what I'm feeling about it, and this is really my question about it. And then Jerry will sit and visit with Abraham about it. And then Jerry will either relate it to Esther or they will record it. Or sometimes Esther can type for a